dimensions and grouping. In this tutorial you're going to be making a cup with a curved handle, but we'll start off as usual by setting up our SketchUp program. Go to Window, Model Info, and where it says Units, click on Units. If it says Architectural, change it to decimal. If it's already in decimal, leave it there. If it is in millimeters, change it to centimeters. And precision will be the same as in part 1, that is to 1 decimal place, so 0.0. So you've got units, decimal, centimeters, and 1 decimal place of precision. Close that window by clicking in the corner or hit enter on your keyboard. Right, next thing, let's get rid of the figure, either the man or the woman, depending on which version of SketchUp you have. Just select them using your mouse and hit delete on your keyboard. Next thing is, well, at the moment I've got no toolbars at all. You probably have the Getting Started toolbar. That tends to be the default toolbar. So what do you want to do? You want to set up the large toolbar, mainly because there are some tools that you will need that are not in the Getting Started toolbar. So go View Toolbars and turn off Getting Started, and go View Toolbars and turn on Large Tool Set. Got that? Okay. Okay, so we've got the unit set up in centimeters. We've got our large tool set. Last thing is check in the right hand corner. Now remember, if you don't see that box that says measurements, or it sometimes says length, the name of it depends upon what you're actually doing, but usually starts off with measurements as the thing written beside it. If it's not there, go to the gray part at the top of your screen. Look where my mouse is at the moment, mouse pointer. Double click there. Now, okay, we're ready to start. As in tutorial 1, we're going to be using the circle tool again, so go to your large tool set, look for the icon for the circle tool, turn it on. Remember, we always start at the origin. Click at the origin and pull out. Now, this is the stage where you take your hand off the mouse. Remember, you cannot enter numbers in the measurements box using your mouse. Notice as soon as we started a circle, it changed from the word measurement to radius. It's asking us what radius circle do you want to make. We want to make a circle of radius 4.5 centimeters. So on your keyboard, enter 4.5 and then hit enter on the keyboard, and you'll notice the circle is really small. That's fine. Put your mouse right above it, the mouse pointer, and scroll in until your circle is about that big. So that's a circle of radius 4.5 centimeters. Now let's move this. Generally speaking, we want things towards the center of the screen. Go to your toolbar and turn on the what looks like a hand icon. It's the pan tool. Turn on the pan tool and drag that circle until it's down towards the middle bottom part of the screen, because you're going to build up from it, so you need that space above it. Okay, everybody got that? You've got your circle of radius 4.5. Alright, now go to your toolbar, turn on the push-pull tool. It's just a little rectangular box with an arrow coming out of it. When you hold it above the circle, notice the circle changes from a solid gray to a sort of dotted gray surface. Take it off, solid gray. Click to turn on the tool and start lifting. Now notice at the side in the little dimensions box, it now calls it distance, and it's asking you what height do you want this cylinder to be when you raise the circle. So you take your hand off the mouse. Remember, you can't do it with the hand on the mouse, and enter the height of that cylinder, 12.5, enter. And there you are, a cylinder for which the radius is 4.5 and the height is now 12.5 centimeters. And remember, if you're not sure, you can check by going to the toolbar and turning on the tape measure tool. Let's just do that. I turn on the tape measure tool, click on the bottom of the cylinder, go straight up to the top along the blue axis. You can see how the line is blue, and you see it reads both 12.5 where you see the tape measure, and down in the measurements box it says length is 12.5. Okay, turn off the measuring tool by clicking or hitting escape on your keyboard. Now here's what you want to do. Use the orbit tool now. Orbit tool is there right beside the pan tool, and bring it around so you can see the top of the cylinder, because you want to work in the top of the cylinder now. What we want to do at this stage is to hollow out the cylinder to make it a cup. At the moment it's just a solid cylinder. How are we going to do that? We're going to use once again the circle tool. So go to your large tool set, turn on the circle tool, go to where the axis line is at the center. It actually says center of the top. Start pulling it out. Okay, please take your hand off the mouse and enter this number, 3.8. You don't have to put the centimeters in, by the way. All of our units are assumed to be centimeters. 3.8, and then enter. There's a circle of radius 3.8 centimeters. Now we want to hollow it out, so we're going back to the push-pull tool. Turn on the push-pull tool and start to pull down. Now notice, when you're using the push-pull tool, that arrow at the top of the tool must be on the surface that you want to control. If I put that I don't want to do it. If I put that arrow on the edge, well, I don't want it. It's already stuck on the center. If I put it on the edge, it would change the height of the edge. Start pulling down. Hand off the mouse. We're going to enter the dimensions that we want. Now remember, the cup was 12.5 centimeters in height. You're going to pull that down 12 centimeters. So don't do it by hand. Do it using the keyboard. 12 on the keyboard, and then enter. And so that should be a hole in the cup of 12 centimeters. We didn't want to make it 12.5, otherwise we'll have a cup with a hole in the bottom of it. Let's just have a look at that using the orbit tool. Turn on the orbit tool, swing it around. Yep, there's our hollow cup. Does it come through the bottom? Nope, the bottom is still solid, so our cup will not leak. Now, we want to protect this cup. I could move it at the moment by turning on the move tool, but before I move it or do anything with it, I want to protect it. And the process of protecting it is called grouping it. Grouping it is usually done when you've got 2 or 3 or 4 parts that you want to put together, and you don't want them to deform when they touch one another. So here's what you do. Turn on your select tool and make a box completely around the cylinder. When you do, notice the cylinder is turning blue. I'm going to hit escape and do that again. Now, say I didn't do it completely around, I only do part of the cylinder. Notice nothing happens. So the outline must be completely around the object. There we are, it's been selected. On your keyboard, hit the letter G. And when you do, this window pops up and it says create a component. So the cup is a component that you're going to group with some other component, i.e. in this case the handle. So just change that. You don't have to change it, but we might as well give it a name and call it cup body. That's our cup body. And just go create or hit enter on your keyboard. Create and done. When an object has been grouped, you will always see this blue box around it. That indicates to you that it has been grouped. So there, it's protected. Now, turn on your move tool. Remember, that looks like it's the 4 arrowheads. Move, and move the cup body just a bit to the side so we can work at the origin again. We're going to make the handle now. Here's how we make the handle. First of all, I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard and turn on the circle tool. Start from the origin, start pulling it out. Take your hand off the mouse and enter the following dimension, the radius for this handle. It's 1.5, and then enter. 1.5. Okay, so you've used the circle tool 3 times now. Nothing new there. Here's the new tool. The new tool is this one, the arc tool. The arc tool, as you can see, makes semicircles or arcs. Turn on the arc tool, and as soon as you click in the center of the circle, you'll see the word length appear in the dimensions box or the measurements box. Pull up along the blue axis. Now remember what happens. I clicked, by the way, in the center of the circle. When I pull it to the left or the right of the axis line, the line turns black. I want it right on the blue axis. Now don't click a second time. Don't click. We want to enter the height. So take your hand off the mouse, and enter the following arc length. It's the length of this arc, and the length is 8. So just 8, enter. Now nothing is apparent except the word in the bottom is changed to bulge. But take your mouse and now don't click on it, just pull out and you'll see, there is my actual arc. So I couldn't see it even though I'd entered the 8, but when I move the mouse I can see the arc will now appear. So that's the arc. What sort of bulge or radius do we want for it? Well, we want a bulge of 3. So just 3 on your keyboard and then enter. And when you do, that line becomes permanent. Now we're going to use the follow me tool once again. We want this circle of radius 1.5 to follow that pathway all the way up. So the arc, in fact, is the pathway that the circle is going to follow. Do you remember the steps we have to take for the follow me tool? Well, first of all, you've got to pick the path. Turn on your select tool. Click on the arc. And when you do, the path or the arc turns blue. So that's essential to using the follow me tool. You've got to give it a path to follow. All right. Turn on the follow me tool. Now remember what it looks like? It's that box with a curved arrow coming out of it and sort of an arc above it, and it's called follow me. All you have to do is click with that arrowhead on the circle, and there's your handle. Neat, isn't it? And basically what has happened is that the circle has filled in all along that arc that you had given as the path. All right, before we try to move the handle, we want to group it. So I'm going to use the orbit tool, swing it around a bit so I can see the handle quite separately. Now, to group something, what are the steps? First of all, select it. Okay, we select the handle. Did it work? Yeah, because look, the ends of the handle are blue and there's that dotted pattern inside, or rather on the outer surface of the handle. What do you hit on your keyboard? The letter G. G standing for group. And we'll just call this handle and create. And once again, the grouping box shows. Now we're ready to move the handle to the side of the cup. Now you could do it as it sits right now, but it is easier to look at this from the top, and often you'll find this is the case. The view, choose your view that makes things easier to see exactly where they are. So I'm going to go Camera, here at the top of the page, Camera, Standard Views. Now you get a whole bunch of choices, top, bottom, etc. We want to look at this from the top. So Camera, Standard Views, Top. Click. So there we're looking at the cup from the top, and there's the top of the handle. Turn on your Move tool, and let's move the handle over here. Now if I push the handle too far, watch the inside of the cup. The handle comes right through the cup. Well, we don't want it to be in through the cup. That might be it. Oops, no, I want to pull it back a little bit. So I've done two things. I've got the handle more or less at right angles to the cup, to the best of my ability, and it's not protruding inside the cup. But I really don't know where it is with respect to how high or low it is on the side of the cup. So I'm going to go back to Camera, Standard Views, and pick either left or right. I'm going to pick left. There we go. So see where the handle is? The handle's too low. So what we want to do now is go back to our Move tool and move the handle straight up. But there's another problem. Let me scroll in here on the bottom. Notice the other problem? The handle is not far enough inside the cup. That's fine. So let's just move the whole handle inside the cup. It just takes a little bit of practice. You may go too far the first time. That looks good. It's inside the cup. Now, let's scroll back. Use the Pan tool. Bring that back down so you can see the whole thing. And let's use the Orbit tool and see where that handle really is. Is it still in the correct position? What do you think? I think it's okay. I think it's okay. So we've got the handle now inside the cup. At this stage you should save it. Before you lose things, it's better to save things. So let's just go File, Save as, and remember where you're saving it. You're saving in your technology folder in your SketchUp folder, and we'll call this cup with handle. And then follow that by your name. Why? Well, because all these cups will look the same when I download them from your file. Okay, we've saved it just in case anything goes wrong. We can open it up from there again. So we've got a cup with a handle. I'm going to make a second version of this cup. At the moment, if I use the Move tool and click on the cup, it's going to move the cup and leave the handle there. I don't want to do that because then I have to try getting it back again. But I'm going to show you how to reverse a change that you've made. So I accidentally move it. Oh, I meant to move it over there, and I want the handle to go with it. How can I get it back where it was without moving it physically? You can reverse any step you've taken using your keyboard, or I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to use the keyboard and go Control Z. And let's see if that did it. No, one more step, Control Z again. So I have this Control button on your keyboard and then Z. There we are, back. So I did Control Z twice and it took me back to the stage where I had the handle and cup together. Now to prevent that from happening again, I'm going to select the cup and the handle. Let's group them as one. So what's the step? G on the keyboard, and this is, we'll call it Final Cup. And just click Create. While we're here though, let's make a second copy of this. And so just do this. Take your Select tool, make a box around it, and might as well do, you can either go edit, copy, edit, paste, or use your keyboard once again. Control C is copying, and then Control V is pasting, and watch what happens when I move my mouse. The second cup appears. So I've got two grouped cups. I'm going to move this grouped cup over here out of the way and move this one. Oops, I haven't picked it, have I? No. Turning on my Move tool, move this one over here. I'm going to ungroup this cup to show you what happens, to show you why we do group things, besides what I had just shown you about the moving. Hit Escape on your keyboard. Select the whole cup. Now the opposite of grouping is this. Right click on that. I've selected it using the Select tool. Right click, and here's the choice you get. There's a word called explode. Explode undoes the grouping. So I'm going to explode it. So now it's ungrouped the cup and handle as a whole, but the cup is still grouped separately and the handle is still grouped. So I'm going to do that one more time. Right click again, explode. Now notice everything's blue, but the box has disappeared. Just hit Escape on your keyboard or click outside. Now watch what happens when I use the Move tool. I'm going to try moving the handle. Oh. Now that's really bizarre. I've moved the cup body and left behind the hole. So that is a hole. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Now I'm trying to move it back to where it was, and of course it's next. But the purpose of this activity was to show you why we group something. That cannot happen with this one. I can move it all I want, and it won't suffer that same calamity. Okay, I'm going to use Control Z until I get back to where I was. There we are, back to the cup, and it's not grouped. Now, let's try painting this. There's your paint bucket, click on. When you open up the paint bucket, there's a whole bunch of choices in here. You can have it in colors. There's some of these are suitable for housing, carpet and textiles, brick and cladding, fencing, and so on. Most suitable for a cup, I guess, would be colors, or you could, I suppose, have a stone cup, or translucence, referring to things like glass and plastic. You could, of course, have a wooden cup. Let's go to colors, and when you do, it opens up a whole bunch of possible colors. I'm going to make the inside of the cup red, so I clicked on the red, and you can see the paint bucket appear. Right, the inside of the cup is now red. Beautiful, love it. Okay. You can make yours any color you want. This is where the artist in you comes out. I'm going to pick that sort of orange color for the handle. Okay, handle is orange. I like that brown for my body, but notice I haven't done the rim. I'm going to pick a different color again for the rim. I'm going to pick that sort of pink color. And there's the rim. So there's my painted cup. Now, because what's going to happen when I try to move it, it's going to fall apart in pieces. So what should I do now that I've got my final painting done? Select it and hit G. And we'll call this painted cup. How's that? Painted cup. And then create. So I hit G on the keyboard and then just gave it a unique name. This one is already grouped, and we're going to use this in tutorial 2. So you've got 2 cups, both of them of the same dimensions, both of them now grouped. We're going to save them now. Go File, Save As. You might as well just leave them as cup. We can call it cups now, cups with handles. So just we'll have 2 savings there, the original cup and then this cups with handles. Save. In the next tutorial, we're going to put dimensions on these cups, and we're going to put an image on the cup which has not been painted. And that's it for today. Thank you.